Problem, though, is the water. It's never been a friend of mine on the golf course. So today's a pretty good day, actually. I make good contact with my 8-iron and land 6 feet from the hole. Holding my breath all the way, I putt in for my birdie. That is why I play golf, folks. You should get your pals together, book a tee time, and come out and play Pipestone. Stay tuned for more Fantastic Four golf hole experiences with the Buy Golf for Half Bogey Boys. See you at the next hole.
Visit buygolfforhalf.com for half-price golf packages from Pipestone and other great local golf courses around the Miami Valley.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. Dayton Flyers basketball fans, it's time to wear red and stay loud. Here's Talking Out Loud with Sully on 1410 Wing AM, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Welcome in, boys and girls and men and women and fans of the Dayton Flyers. This is your host, Sully, bringing you the Talking Out Loud Hour, brought to you by Lee's Chicken right here on 1410 ESPN Radio Dayton. I guess I have some explaining to do. So you might be there with your radio dial turned up and say, well, what is the Talking Out Loud Hour? And I will be happy to tell you. As I mentioned, I'm your host, Sully, bringing you this hour every week. And for the last 4-5 seasons now, I have had a podcast about nothing but Dayton basketball. I've had the chance to interview former Flyers players, talk about the recruiting trail, which we're going to do tonight, and talk to fans of other teams around the conference that the Dayton Flyers play. So since I've had this podcast for a few years and things have been going fairly well, we wanted to bring it to more ears, and that's why you're listening to us right now on 1410 Radio. For our inaugural episode tonight, it's a good one. I have a full-length interview that's going to air in 2 parts with Brooks Hall, Dayton Flyers guard from 1999 until 2003. You might remember him. I'm sure you do if you're a fan of the Flyer. And before I get to that, I wanted to talk about some recruiting. So this is a great week to get started on the Talking Out Loud Hour here on ESPN Radio, because we have some big news, some historic news that surrounds the program of the Dayton Flyers. You might ask yourself, how could that possibly be? And my response would be, it's not historic news on the court, but rather off the court on the dirty road of the recruiting trail. Earlier this week, the Dayton Flyers received 2 commits that were in the top 100 of recruiting rankings in the country. Their names are Caleb Washington and Deron Holmes. And normally recruiting news wouldn't be all that significant. Frankly, I don't like to get into it on my podcast too often, because following around the trials and tribulations of high schoolers is a little bit more work than I would like to take on a daily basis. But this news was noteworthy because Dayton has now locked down 2 top 100 recruits for the class of 2021. And you might remember that Dayton also signed a 3-star recruit, Mally Smith, the younger brother of Scoochie Smith, just about 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that. The point is, Dayton now has the 22nd best recruiting class in the nation as of the time of this recording in this episode, which is October 29th. So it got me thinking, as a Dayton Flyers lifelong fan with a radio show dedicated to the program, that maybe this is a step in the right direction for the program to finally get over the hump and be dominant in the conference every year. My friend David Jablonski over at the Dayton Daily News had a column just yesterday that talked about how Dayton can become the Gonzaga of the Midwest. If you're familiar with college basketball, Gonzaga, located in Spokane, Washington, has been a juggernaut of mid-major basketball and a relevant program nationally for about 20 years now, off the back of their coach, Mark Few. And I always have a problem with that comparison, or wanting to be Gonzaga, because frankly, the Dayton and Gonzaga programs have absolutely nothing in common. And let me explain to you. I know people want us to be the premier mid-major program, or program that comes out of a mid-major conference. The A-10's kind of sandwiched in between mid-major and not mid-major. But this comparison always struck me as odd because the two programs have nothing in common. Spokane, Washington, obviously is in the middle of kind of a dead zone of college recruiting. There's not a lot of schools in the vicinity, and there's not a lot of great basketball played up that way. Pac-12 schools in the region tend to go into California and other regions to get recruits. But beyond that, Mark Few, who coaches Gonzaga today, took the job in the year 1999. But for the sake of our discussion today, I am going to look at the past 20 seasons, because it's a nice round number. Why not? In the past 20 seasons, Gonzaga has gone to the tournament every single year. And in those 20 seasons, Gonzaga has lost a total of 28 conference games in the West Coast Conference, which they have always been located. If you think about the A10, if you think about the dominant programs of the A10, none of them have ever come close to that kind of run of success. And frankly, you should never want that, because it would turn into a league that is truly mid-major. When you have a team that stomps on the league year in, year out, that's not good news for the conference, because it tends to lend itself to someone in the conference, again, stomping on everyone. So rather, I say to Dayton Flyers fans today who look at this news as encouraging of the program to take the next step, that do not compare to Gonzaga. They are at a level all on their own. And since we just missed the tournament, I say we, I'm a UD grad, since we just missed the tournament 2 years prior to the cancellation of March in 2020, then it stands to reason that to get to the level of Gonzaga, we would need 19 more years of making it to the tournament consecutively. And obviously, Dayton has never done that. We just got to the point where they were making the NCAA tournament 4 years in a row. So instead, I asked Flyer fans today, opening my show, take a deep breath. And I know you're not going to like this, but the Dayton Flyers program needs to become what Xavier was when they left the A10, and let's just say 10 years ago. Because in the same time frame that I outlined the Gonzaga Bulldogs program, Xavier in those 20 seasons, and I can shorten it down because Xavier left the A10 in 2014. So we're talking about 14 seasons of basketball. Xavier won the A10 either outright or got a share of it in half of those 14 years. There were another 3 seasons where they either finished second, third, or fourth. There was 1 year in 2006 when Xavier went 8-8. They did not miss the tournament because they rolled through the A10 tournament and got the auto bid. So you are seeing now what I'm saying. Gonzaga has dominated a conference out west for about 20 years. Xavier had a run of dominance in the A10, but basically they were finishing top 2 just about every year, and that got them the bump to go to the Big East. So I asked Dayton Flyer fans what you should be attaining. Is that success? The expectation for the Dayton Flyers program moving forward is that we should be in the tournament every year. They should be in the top 3 of the A10 every single year. And I say that because all of the pieces of the program are now firmly in place. Because when Anthony Grant has hit the recruiting trail over the last, let's call it 6 months, and he has gotten these top 100 recruits, along with Mally Smith, a 3-star recruit, giving us the best recruiting class Dayton has ever had, and by a fairly wide margin. They are coming from a position of stability that very few college basketball programs can reach. And I say that because when you get into the meddling Power 5, Power 6 teams, we're talking about maybe Arkansas or Texas A&M, those programs in the middle of those conferences are always going to have turnover. Coaches are always going to be in and out. What Dayton can now sell recruits is that you have a guy who is an alum who will be there for the long term. And of course, the pieces behind us now are the facilities, the fan base, the arena, and then, of course, the school, the campus, the academics that go along with that, and the recent success. You have the Coach of the Year, Anthony Grant, right there, I'm sure, on his wall in his office, and the Player of the Year with Obi. Now, if you've heard this recruiting news, Deron Holmes was the highest recruit Dayton's ever had. Caleb Washington was the other that was right inside the top 100. And both of them said all the right things, that it was the right fit. And they were looking for Anthony Grant to develop their skills. All of these things you love to hear. But what they didn't say was that OBE and the current success had a lot to do with their decision. I find that very encouraging, because what that tells me is that there are young men coming into the Dayton Flyers program who are concerned not with where they've been, but with where they are headed in the years to come. If you want to hear more on the recruiting trail and everything that goes into it, you can listen to a longer version of everything we're talking about here today. You can hear the full-length version of the Brooks Hall interview. You can hear the full-length recruiting conversation I've had. All you got to do is search Talking Out Loud, LOWD, Talking Out Loud, wherever you listen to podcasts. I don't want to keep you any longer, but there was just a lot of great news to pass along today, and I hope that you enjoy the show, the first episode of Talking Out Loud. I'm not going to take any more of your time here on this program, but when we come back from a commercial break, I'm going to have an interview with Brooks Hall. Again, going to air in 2 parts, one this week, one next week, and I hope you enjoy it. So we'll be right back right here on Dayton's Own 1410 ESPN Radio.
Talking Out Loud with Sully on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
The Hustler Power October Super Event is going on now at Small Engine Service Pros in New Carlisle. Purchase a Hustler X1, Super S, Super Z, or Super Z Hyperdrive in October, and you'll receive 20% off MSRP. Visit Small Engine Service Pros and ask them to apply the Super Event promotion for 20% off. Fleet customers receive up to 32% off. Visit hustlerturf.com. Valid through October 31st, 2020. Some exclusions apply. See dealer for details. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for the best venue for your upcoming event or party? Check out our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. It's a unique, state-of-the-art VIP 8-lane luxury suite. It's not too soon to book your holiday party. Call today and let the good times roll. Let us book your holiday event at any of our centers. Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, or Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. Ho, ho, ho.
Making it easier for you to get the frickin' chicken. Remember Frickers.com. That puts you in touch with everything you crave. Frickin' chicken wings, burgers, ribs, salads, wraps, everything you crave. Should you crave an ice-cold domestic draft beer? Join us and dine in. We have a 48-ounce personal pitcher for only $6. Dine in, carry out, delivery, and now order online at Frickers.com. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is the home to order online at Frickers.com.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Staples helps your business go big with everything you need at amazing prices. From office essentials like paper and ink to health essentials like masks and sanitizer. Save big at Staples.
Do you have foot pain? Did you know foot pain is not normal, regardless of your age, activities, or job? Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet based on their education, training, and experience. Your Your podiatrist can provide you with important foot care solutions like shoe inserts, so you're able to better manage foot pain. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association members are bound by the highest ethical standards and have access to superior ongoing medical education and resources. Ask if your podiatrist is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best. After all, we've been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manion was killed in Iraq after saving his wounded teammates. Travis's legacy lives on through the words he spoke before his final deployment. If not me, then who? Words that today fuel the spirit of Travis Manion Foundation. And through TMF, these words can live in you too. Show the world what you're made of, because character is invisible until it's not. Find out how you can strengthen the character of your community alongside empowered veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians at travismanion.org.
How would you like the chance to win a truckload of DeWalt tools, plus the truck they came in? Yeah, we thought so. Don't miss Lowe's Provember event. Now through November 25th, you could win a set of 18 DeWalt tools worth over $3,000. And the truck? A 2021 Chevy Silverado. Enter for your chance to win at lowesforpros.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. No purchase necessary. Starts 10/28, ends 11/25. LFP membership required. U.S. only. Entry rules on lowesforpros.com/Provember.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app. Connect with your favorite radio shows through contests, social media, and podcasts. Create custom alarms with your favorite radio stations, all free with the radio.com app.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
So welcome back to the program today. Special interview that I have been waiting to do for quite some time. And I say that because I have a jersey. You guys might have seen me wear this jersey. I put it on Twitter all the time. I've worn it to London. I've worn it to Lollapalooza. All around the country, I've taken this jersey. It's not white anymore. It's kind of like an off-white color. But it is a Dayton 33 jersey that I bought in 2002 when I was 11 years old. And after the game, I went up to the concourse to get it signed by my favorite player at the time. And his name was Brooks Hall. He's the 23rd leading scorer in Dayton Flyers history. And my life as a fan has finally come full circle because he's joined me on the program today. Please welcome on Brooks Hall. How you doing today, man? It's great to have you on the program.
Man, I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me. And that's a crazy story. I didn't know. I've seen, I think you tagged me on Twitter one time. And I saw like the Lollapalooza or whatever. I know you take it everywhere, but I didn't know you had me sign that as an 11-year-old. That's a cool story, man.
Yeah, man. You know, getting ready for this podcast, I want to reach out to my family because, like, we had a picture on the concourse somewhere, and I texted my cousin like a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, do you remember taking a picture with Brooks like way back in the day?" He goes, "Bro, that picture exists. It's in this world somewhere, but I don't know where it is." So I couldn't find the picture. I will try. I'm gonna ask my mom again back in Pittsburgh, but there is a picture somewhere. So yeah, man, I still got that jersey, and it made it to Daytona a couple times too. So you can imagine jumping in the pool. Like that signature is really faded. So when I'm at UD, we're gonna have to get a redo of that one, man.
Hey, the stories that jersey could tell about you.
You got that right, man. It's been around a long time. So, like I said, the life as a fan has finally come full circle, and it's great to have you on today, man. I mentioned to Brooks before the show that we've done this already with Keith Wallaskowski, Sean Finn. One of these days, I'll have to track down Ramad Marshall. I don't know what he's up to these days, but that's the hardest part, man, is like tracking people down. But you're always around Dayton, so you're not a hard man to find, right? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I that's why I went to Dayton. I'm a homebody, and so after my playing days were over, came back to the area and I was married and started a family in the Beaver Creek area, right outside of Dayton. So yeah, man, I found my way back here. Now, man, so after I got done playing for about 10 years, I was in the social work field, worked at a private foster care agency, and just really always wanted to give back and help young people. As of last year, though, last July, I kind of ventured off into the basketball world, and I do some recruiting consulting. I'm a part of I'm the director of scouting for it's called OGBR, stands for Ohio Girls Basketball Report. Big time company, has been around about 20 plus years, and they just put on events for young people. They also, it's a recruiting, it's like a scouting service where colleges subscribe to them. It just does a whole lot of things to help young people, give them a platform for a chance to play college basketball. So, and then I train on the side. So, man, I'm just doing a lot of things that involve helping young people, but also it allows me to be around the game I love. Oh, and of course, I still do the radio for the men's team. So, I'm loving that.
I was going to say, man, we're going to see you doing the color commentary on games this upcoming season, right?
I mean, I hope. I got games. So I got an email from Larry Hanskin actually while we were talking earlier, and just trying to figure. He doesn't know yet. So we were trying to talk about the Flyer feedback schedule, but man, I have no idea what the games are going to look like this year. So
yeah, no, nobody does, man. So now that you have transitioned like off the floor, and I know you're a dad in the stands these days, but is it easier to be a player or is it easier to be a fan? Where do you find yourself on that spectrum?
Man, it's much easier to be a fan.
Yeah.
we had a joke back in my playing days. We used to love to play on the road. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because our UD fans, man, they are the best fans in the world, but they'll let you know when you're not playing well. We got booed into the locker room so many times back when I was playing. So, it's a lot easier being the ones critiquing from the stands than getting booed into the locker room. But no, I love it, man. I love the fans, and it was always fun playing in front of 13,000. I know that.
Yeah, and so we'll back up and take it all the way down the road here for listeners. So I have a lot of younger listeners on the show, and if you don't know, that's okay. It's Brooks, you're getting up there now where there's students on campus that didn't even see you play anymore, bro. So Brooks played at UD from 1999 until 2003. And, you mentioned, being a homebody and staying in Dayton. So coming out of high school, Brooks was Ohio Mr. Basketball. And I think to that time, you were probably one of the bigger recruits that OP had. But, it's always big, growing up in the area and being there since. Every time a home recruit stays home, it's a big deal for the program. It always has been. What went into that decision for you in high school? I mean, did you even really consider anywhere else? Because it was a long time ago for me and I was a little kid. But from what I remember, you kind of had it in your mind that you were going to stay home the whole way, right?
Nah, man, actually, it's funny looking back now as an adult, but back then, being Mr. Basketball, and I was blessed I had a good high school career, and I had offers from pretty much everywhere, especially regionally. The only offers I didn't have at that time on this side of the U.S. was basically Duke and North Carolina. And those teams were loaded at my position back then. Mm-hmm. But my Final Five, man, I narrowed it down to Michigan State, North Carolina State, Kentucky, back when Tubby was there. And and I only had Dayton on my list in case I wanted to stay home. But I honestly thought that I was going to go away and go big. But what ended up, you asked what went into that decision. What happened was, AAU is a big thing now and traveling, all that. But back then they had like the Nike camp and Adidas camps. And I just went on tour for like 2 months straight where I wasn't home at all. And this was my junior year. And so it was by the end of that little 2-month stint that I was homesick. And it kind of just hit me where I'm like, man, if I'm homesick after this little 1.5, 2-month stint with AAU, what am I going to do going away for college? And that's where the tables really turned. I actually had verbaled to Michigan State. A lot of people don't know that. I had actually did a soft commitment to Michigan State because Andre Hudson He's from Trotwood, right outside of Dayton, and he played back. That was way back. I'm gonna throw some names out there: Mateen Cleaves, Mo Pete. Charlie Bill.
2000, they won the national championship. That would have been your freshman year. Yeah.
Why you got to remind me of that? Yes, that would have been my freshman year, man. But Andre Hudson was a good friend of mine that went to Michigan State, and that's why I was going to Michigan State, man. And then I had that AAU tour that I told you about, and I decided to stay home. So yeah, man, I surprised a lot of people. One thing that I'll never forget, and you talked about it being a big recruit, talk about pressure on a kid. And by the way, I graduated high school at 17. Like I was a young player. Yeah. And when I committed going before my senior year of high school, Dayton, there was like a newspaper or whatever for UD. And I'll never forget, big old picture of me, and across the top it said Savior. I'm like, man, what? so talk about pressure, man.
So I think maybe that's why, your memory, in general, I'm saying like your memory tends to be quite selective when you're a little kid. Like, I remember this, I remember that. And, it's interesting to hear, man, that you kind of had bags packed and like ready to go to Michigan State. And funny enough, if I recall correctly, Brian Gregory was an assistant on that Michigan State team, right?
He was, and then the lead assistant, the guy that recruited me heavy was Tom Crane, actually. He was kind of in charge of, and I really hit it off with Tom Crane, who ended up going to Indiana, and I think he went to Marquette.
He's at Georgia now, yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay, see, I didn't even know that.
Yep.
But yeah, so so Gregory was there, and full circle, he came to UD, as everybody knows, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, man. Small world.
But I mean, so to put context around the program, it's not like, obviously it's not fair to say like savior for a freshman coming into the program. But at that time, I mean, OP was getting into year 6, and he had turned the program around. Like obviously in '98, they had a good year, and he kind of pulled them out of the muck they were in, created by Jim O'Brien. But at that time, UD was looking for any kind of spark to like put the program back to relevance, because like they were, we're getting into like the 5th year in the A10, and you hadn't really done a whole lot. And so I don't necessarily think it was you specifically. I think it was just like the situation, right? Of like UD found themselves trying desperately to climb out of being irrelevant. They found a local kid. You happen to be a really good recruit at that time. So I think it was more like all the stars aligning for Dayton fans to be like, hey, we finally have something to be like really pumped up about. And at that time, I mean, it had been a decade since Dayton fans had something to be excited about. So that's probably, what led to it more than anything, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to make sure I'm clear. The paper was campus paper. So I mean,
okay, there you go.
Yeah, it was UD's paper. So yeah, it wasn't in the Dayton Daily. Now there was major coverage in the Dayton Daily. They were excited about me coming in, but they didn't label me or put that type of pressure on me. It was my fellow UD students
who are always the toughest. To this day, the alumni are always the hardest on the team for one reason or another. Yeah. But so you came in, and I mean, you averaged 10 points a game out of the gate. What was the message from OP when you got on campus? I mean, did he use that recruiting you to say, hey, you're going to get on the floor day 1, minute 1, as opposed to, a team like Michigan State that was already fully loaded? You might have just been a reserve off the bench. I mean, what was the message from Purnell at that time to get you to buy into the message?
Yeah. So what really got me, man, is I'm a family guy. I'm a culture guy, and they actually started recruiting me pretty heavy in like 7th, 8th grade, which nowadays it's kind of normal. Funny enough, where young kids are getting offered and committed, but back then, that was 25 years ago or so. That wasn't the norm. So they really started to develop a relationship with me early. And then, of course, by the time, I developed into a pretty good player. And so he was able to say, yeah, you're going to make an impact your freshman year. He didn't guarantee me to start. And what a lot of people don't remember, I didn't start coming in day 1. What happened was that we had a really good shooter, 6'7", Kane Dalabo from Springboro. And Kane played the same position as me. And very long story short, he started having some serious back issues a few games in. And I think he started the first 4 or 5 games. back locked up on them. I started like game 6 or something like that, and then started every game after that for the rest of my career. And so that's kind of how that went down.
That's how it is, man. You wait for your opportunity, and then you jump in, right? You got to be ready when your number's called. I found it funny that your first collegiate game, do you happen to remember where it was?
Was that in the pit?
Yeah. I was looking up, like, I always, before we do these segments, I like to look up some of the stuff I've forgotten. I mean, I know most of the records, what the teams did at the end of the year, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking through, Friday, November 19th, 99. And I was like, damn, like, that is a really rough first game for a freshman. I mean, that's like one of the hardest places to play in the country. What was that first game out, going to New Mexico and playing the pit?
Yeah, man. And for you said you got a lot of younger listeners. It would be, I don't even know what to compare it to, but the pit was like how hard it is to win at Duke or these places that people just don't lose at home. So coming to UD a lot of times, right? Yeah. And it was because you go out there in the altitude and you can't breathe because it's different than out here. And I think they had some crazy record at the time where they hadn't lost and I don't remember what the record was, but they had some long winning streak there at the pit. And what it was a 4-team tournament. It was New Mexico, us, Samford, and I forget the 4th team. And they had us play, obviously, New Mexico because they assumed they were going to beat us because they were trying to set it up to put them in the finals. And man, we played well. But as a freshman, to have that be your first game, kind of get thrown into the fire, it was, I can't even, honestly, it's hard to explain because I couldn't breathe out there. My palms were sweaty the entire game. I think I might have made a layup or two. I don't even remember, but it was awesome though. And then to go win the championship out there and celebrate something that Dayton hadn't experienced in a while, just winning a championship, right? I mean, it was that kind of got our season kicked off the right way.
Yeah, in these days, that'll never happen again, right? Because UD like always opens up against Indiana State now, or somebody at home that they can come in and they can get the wheels greased, right? Yeah, I talked to Ryan Mikesell in April. We were talking about his whole career at UD, and his first game, he dropped 21 against Alabama A&M. He just got hot, and you're playing Alabama A&M, you can get buckets against them. But back in those days, I mean, and even I think the entire time you were in school and then through the mid 2000s, I mean, the non-con slate was loaded. Like that freshman year, you got to go play Kentucky, you played Marquette, you went at St. Louis, Texas A&M came to the arena. They're big time programs on that list. So you guys were real battle tested, but I feel like OP probably always set things up so that you were battle tested and ready for conference play, right?
Yeah, he did. And what you have to remember, you kind of used the Mikesell reference to getting buckets to get to A&M. Well, for a while, people looked at Dayton as A&M. You know what I mean? Like,
you get buckets against Dayton, yeah.
Yeah. We were that, and then we surprised people that freshman year. We started that year off like 13-0 or something crazy like that. But yeah, OP did a great job. Like I think he knew, like the secret. The country didn't know. OP knew when he got those final pieces in. I came in that freshman year, and Tony Stanley was ready to kind of take off and lead, and it was just OP knew what was coming. So I think that's why he loaded up that schedule, because you got to remember he had to be strategic because people lose their jobs. So it would have been very risky to load up coming off of a mediocre 4 or 5 year run. So I think OP saw what was coming before everyone else did, to give him credit.
Yeah, he did. And that 2000 year, I said it to Larry Hansgen on our first show, but the 2000 year was kind of like when the Dayton program came back. From the like the depths of the unknown, right? Like you had that 2 year stretch where they had won like 6 games, and the 2000 year, you guys snuck your way into the tournament. I mean, that was really kind of the start of what you see today, right? Like, I don't think anything is possible in 2020 that we've gotten to now if that team doesn't get to the tournament and kind of get over the hump, right?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you guys started hot, which was true, but you guys did lose to Fordham that year. How's that happen, bro? You lost to Fordham? Come on, son.
Oh, man. Listen. Hey, where was that at? Was that at home or there?
It was at Rose Hill Gym. It was like the third game of conference play that year. Yeah.
That's why. Because you play in a little dungeon. You gotta remember too. Yeah. We started off hot and went, but we still weren't used to winning. Like, people don't understand. It takes a certain mindset to be consistently good over a stretch, right? So we started off hot, but then you start feeling yourself a little bit. You start thinking you're better than you are, and you get punched in the mouth by somebody you wasn't expecting. And so Fordham, perfect example. You go into Fordham, there's 27 people in the gym. It's a dungeon. It's hard to get up for those games, and if you're not one of those teams that's mentally tough, man, you drop those kind of games. And that happened to us a few times that year, man.
Yeah, and that's why we talked about all year. And AG did such a good job of this. I know you were around him, like, how he is. He was like, hey, our goal is not to go 4-0. Hey, the goal is not to go 8-0. Hey, the goal is not to go 12-16-0. Like, the goal was always to win every game. And to your point, I think everybody saw it as such a lofty goal because of exactly what you said. When you play in the A-10, now we don't claim to be the Big East. We don't claim to be the Big Ten. But if you don't come ready on any given night, like, you can get snuck up on. And that, that's happened year after year. Gregory kind of had those woes coming down the stretch in February. He always seemed to lose a couple of games that Dayton shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But, coming down that, we're talking about the 2000 season right now, where Dayton went to the tournament. But before we get to that, you had to go to Xavier for the first time, and it was one of the closest games you guys ever played at Xavier. Lost in OT right before they opened the Cintas Center. So for the younger listeners, it almost pains me that kids that graduated post 2014 really have zero context around the rivalry. But when you played at Xavier for the first time, what was the message from the team? What was that game like? What do you remember from that first time at Xavier?
I mean, it's war. It's war, especially for a high school kid. I was coming out of high school, and you got your little high school rivalries, and everybody thinks that, those are intense, and no, those are cute compared to college rivalries. Like, you get to college, and it is legitimate war. You go from your high school rivalries where it's 16, 17-year-old kids playing, fighting it out. These are grown men going at it, and they actually can't stand each other. And so the intensity, the energy in the arena, the actual hate, you feel the hate from the crowd. Now, they may be cool with you after the game, maybe, but it's legitimate dislike for you. And you can feel it. So then you got to take on that, like, us against the world mentality. And I just, man, there's nothing like it. That no one, and I feel bad for the people that don't get to experience that Dayton Xavier rivalry. I mean, there's just no game like that. So, but going in there though, so that's what it was. That as a freshman too, I was shell shocked. I mean, it was, and remember I told you I was young. I didn't turn 18 until July, so I was a young freshman getting thrown into that Dayton Xavier rivalry. I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah. I'll give you a quick aside. So Xavier came into the arena in 2010. This would have been my sophomore year. And we had a whiteout. I believe they bought like towels. So, it was extra rowdy, right? Everybody's like coming ready to tear their heads off. And we had a pregame ritual. I was in the first two rows for the last 3 years I was on campus. And we always would get to the arena. We had these little lipstick type of face paint things that we would bring in with us. And we would get to the arena early. We'd set our stuff down and we'd go up to the bathroom in the concourse and we'd paint our faces. So we did this every game. And a lot of the old guys up there that always have to take a piss before the game, they all knew us. They have their routine. We have our routine, right? Yeah. So I remember there was a Xavier game that we go up there, we're painting our faces like normal. And this old guy comes up after taking a piss and he goes, "Give those hell down there. I can't stand those." Like that. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's fired up, man. Probably the most excited he'd been all year,
Yeah, man. I'm going to tell you, so my dad, 6'3", I don't know, 250, big dude. And but like a gentle giant, laid back. He it's hard to get him fired up. At Xavier, my senior year, I believe, it got so intense from their student section. My dad went up in their stands, like went up in their student section and checked the kid that had crossed the line. You know, I don't know what he said. I don't remember, but literally my dad went up there, told him to shut his mouth. Kid didn't say a word the rest of the game, but that's nothing's off limits, man, in Dayton Xavier games. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad Two Holloway's mother wasn't in the arena all those years. She would have had something to say to me for sure. after like 10 to 12 pregame beers on campus, like I'll say just about anything in the second row. So yeah,
it's how it goes, man.
So all right, we definitely spent a lot of time on the 2000 year, but I mean it really did kind of set up. Not like your trajectory for the program, but it set up the Dayton program for years to come. And I think, the program was able to build consistently after that. Maybe not as quickly as we all wanted to, but it did build just one step at a time. You guys are coming down the stretch, put together a good year, 21-7. Unceremoniously got bounced in the A-10 tournament, so it goes in Dayton, unfortunately. But Selection Sunday as a freshman, you see your name, and in the old days there were no leaks. There was, you turn on the television and you pray to God that you see your name. What was that Selection Sunday like? Where were you guys? What was that all about?
Nothing like it. I want to say where did we watch that? I think at Coach's house.
It's like the tradition now,
yeah, right. But we weren't sure, right? Because we started off hot. I mean, we even cracked the top 25, first time in a long time that Dayton had hit the top 25. But then we had a very average conference season. And so we weren't sure that Dayton was going to get in, especially because we didn't have that built up reputation to where you kind of get the benefit of the doubt, right? Like so we thought we wouldn't get in. And so when that name popped up for us to play Purdue, man, there wasn't a feeling like it. A whole lot of mixed emotions, all good emotions, but a whole lot of mixed ones because we knew the wars we went through. We knew a lot of people didn't believe in us. We just, so to have, and then we also know we didn't play well. So we thought we might've missed the opportunity. So to see that we actually get a chance to keep playing, and we knew what it meant to the city. Like that was another thing to the fans. And so, and then we love the draw. We thought we can beat Purdue.
Yeah.
And so, man, it was, I was Brian Cardinal. I don't know if people remember Brian Cardinal and those boys, but so the draw was perfect. It was just set up to do something at Dayton that hadn't been done in a long time. So, man, we were excited.
Yeah, and looking back on that game, again, I always try to put context around it. Dayton lost a heartbreaker by 1. I never put that game on you, Brooks, just so we know. So there was a play coming down the stretch. Where you got fouled, went to the line. Dayton was down 2. You made 1, but I never put that game on you, Brooks, because Tony couldn't hit a shot to save his life. And it's funny, like now, 20 years looking back, it seems like in every big game that Dayton's played, somebody just goes ice cold and can't hit. And what I'm talking about is like, so there's Charles Cook recently when we played Wichita. He went ice cold that night in the tournament, right? If you go back a little bit further, at the Florida game, the team just couldn't hit a shot that night. Even the Syracuse game, they weren't really great. That Elite 8 year. It seems like there's like this pattern of every time Dayton gets on the big stage, some guy you can't afford just can't hit shots. But what do you remember from that game looking back, man?
Nah, and to give context to what you're talking about, where you say you don't blame me. So we were up the whole game. I mean, we were an 11 seed. Purdue was a 6 seed. We're out in Arizona, big time game, and we're literally winning the entire game. And then they go in there, start to make their run because they were a good team, and they ended up taking the lead. So they're up 2 on us, and coach draws up a play for me, freshman, and I forget what the play was called. I think came off an away double screen to get me open, and took the shot and missed, but got my own rebound and got fouled. Like you said, go to the line. And I was a confident freshman now. Like I had a very good freshman year, all A-10 rookie team and average 10 a game. did really well. So I go to the line and I'm like, I'm going to knock these down.
Yeah.
Cash the first one. Like, just go up there and knock it down. If you watch the film, in black and white, because it was that long ago, if you watch the game, I look over at Coach. I was so confident I was going to knock the shot. And I'm like, hey, Coach, what defense are we in after I make this shot? Instead of staying locked in and just knocking down the shot, right? So, man, I look over at him, come back off the back of the rim. Now, mind you, what people don't remember, people always remember that free throw, and I beat myself up for it, even to this day. There was still 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah,
plenty of time to still, get it done. But man, that free throw, it was huge. We make that, ties it up, it changes the course of the game. So I put it on me.
Yeah, but I think you have the best perspective of anybody in the program to just tell people how much of a crapshoot the NCAA tournament is, right? Because that's all it takes. Man. You got one guy that's cold, you hit one shot down the stretch, you miss one shot down the stretch, you're heading home, right?
And we'll get to it, but I got cold my senior year, and I know we'll get to that senior year when we were the 4 seed. I don't want to give all that away, but yeah, and I didn't hit shots that game, and that was a big piece of what made us go. So it's just you're right. Every time, man, big stage, something just goes wrong.
We will get to that senior year and the rest of the interview with Brooks Hall next week. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we will wrap up the hour. You're listening to Talking Out Loud with Sully on ESPN Dayton 1410 ESPN Radio.
Talking Out Loud with Sully on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm attorney David Brannon, and I'm running for Montgomery County Probate Court Judge on November 3rd. I've worked hard to protect those in need and to get the right answers for families in probate court. I am also certified by the Ohio State Bar Association as a specialist in probate law. I have several plans to improve court services to this community. First, I want to allow a law clinic underneath the roof of the probate court to provide better access to justice for families. I also want to streamline the filing process to improve efficiency and fairness. Please vote for me, David Brannon, November 3rd. I'm David Brannon, and I approve this message.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McHoyle Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Oktoberfest and football are at Milano's. Bavarian pretzels, German beers, schnitzel, and more. Come in and watch the game or get it to go. All carry-out beers are 25% off every day at Milano's Pizza, Subs, and Taps.
I'm Charla. I'm a Park National banker, and I'm a new grandma. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you always counted on from us, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Insulate your home and lower energy costs with Guardian by Knauf Insulation. It offers year-round comfort and is perfect for both commercial and residential projects. Save today with 11% off Guardian by Knauf Insulation. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through Saturday, October 31st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
The all-new Audible now gives you thousands of select audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all included with membership. Try it for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
How would you like the chance to win a truckload of DeWalt tools, plus the truck they came in? Yeah, we thought so. Don't miss Lowe's Provember event. Now through November 25th, you could win a set of 18 DeWalt tools worth over $3,000. And the truck? A 2021 Chevy Silverado. Enter for your chance to win at lowesforpros.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. No purchase necessary. Starts 10/28, ends 11/25. LFP membership required. U.S. only. Entry rules on lowesforpros.com/Provember.
Whether it's betting on the big game, catching up on bills, or saving up for the holidays, we could all use a little extra cash this time of year. Hey, how does $1,000 sound? It's the ESPN Dayton #We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. Listen for the word that wins every hour, starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Enter the word at wingam.com for your chance to win $1,000. It's the ESPN Dayton We Want to Get Paid Cash Contest. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. Talking Out Loud with Sully on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Welcome back to the Talking Out Loud Hour, brought to you by Lee's Chicken on ESPN Dayton, 1410 ESPN Radio. I'm your host, Sully, giving you nothing but the best Dayton Flyers content. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be coming to you every Thursday from 6 to 7 throughout the season, covering the Dayton Flyers, and we will have player interviews. We will have speculation about upcoming matchups. I always try to get on guests that cover the program that UD is about to play that week. And then right around the turn of the year, we try to put out 2 episodes per week that will cover the various topics, since conference play tends to be a little bit hectic and you play on Wednesday and Saturday and twice a week. So we try to do 2 programs to accommodate that. But rest assured, we'll be right here on ESPN Dayton 1410 ESPN Radio throughout the course of the season. Finishing up the show tonight, I wanted to talk about something that always tends to be a hot button in Dayton, Ohio, and that's scheduling as we approach the season. Fans of the Dayton Flyers program know that over the last 10 years or so, the big issue has always been scheduling. How do we get teams into UD Arena? How do we schedule legitimate power conference teams? How do we get them to play us? And you've seen in the last few years that UD has gone in a very unique approach to get some of these games on the schedule. And last year you saw it with St. Mary's. They went and played them out in Phoenix. St. Mary's told UD that they're not going to come to UD Arena and play again. We had that home and home, you might remember, a few years ago, and they said absolutely not. You know, we're not going to go do that again, so you have to meet us on a neutral site. UD did the exact same thing with Colorado for the exact same reasons last year. They didn't want to come to UD Arena. UD didn't feel like it was necessary to schedule an away game out in Boulder against Colorado, and what do you get? You get a neutral site game in Chicago that was obviously beneficial for the Flyers since they outnumbered the Colorado fans. I was there, and I don't know, maybe it was 6-1, maybe 7-1. It was a huge margin, but those games are always going to be wins for the Flyers because our fan base travels so well. So finishing up the program tonight, in the same light that scheduling has been so difficult for UD over these last couple of years, and they've struggled to get teams into the arena. Right now in college basketball, you're seeing that play out on such a grand scale. There are a ton of non-conference tournaments that have been canceled, and UD was scheduled to play in the Myrtle Beach tournament to enter the year, and that was around Thanksgiving. UD backed out of that tournament, thankfully, to be honest with you. And what ended up happening was that they found themselves in the tournament in South Dakota, and this is called the Crossover Classic, brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers. And the teams in this tournament are very solid, all Power 5 teams: West Virginia, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Memphis, Creighton, Utah, and then, of course, Dayton against Wichita State, which will open their season the night before Thanksgiving at 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 for those of us in Dayton. The college basketball world is in a state of flux right now, and with 30 days left to go in the season, we do not have a definitive schedule for any conference. We don't have a definitive schedule for any non-conference. There's only about 14 or 15 teams as of this recording that have actually scheduled non-conference games. 14 or 15 out of 350. This has been an absolute mess. The NCAA has had 7 months to come up with protocols for the COVID pandemic. They have had 7 months to come up with a non-con schedule. They've had 7 months to come up with a format for how college basketball was going to work. They didn't do any of it. They failed college basketball fans. But fortunately for you here in Dayton, Ohio, we have reaped the rewards of this, because Dayton is going to end up playing a couple of power conference teams in their arena, SMU and Ole Miss on December 5th and 19th. SMU on the 5th, Ole Miss on the 19th. And then they are going to get a full slate of power conference games in South Dakota. And then they're going to Atlanta to play Mississippi State, another, again, say it with me, power conference team. The college basketball landscape is definitely in a state of flux. The non-conference scheduling is a mess, a total mess. The NCAA had 7 months to figure this out, to put us in a position to succeed as college basketball programs, as college basketball fans. They did none of it. However, us in Dayton, Ohio, we're probably going to be all right. This is turning into one of the best non-con schedules of all time for Dayton. Or let's go, it's going to be one of the best non-con schedules of the last 10 years. And it happened in a year when the rest of the college basketball world is struggling to get games. I hope you join me next week on the Talking Out Loud Hour to finish my interview with Brooks Hall. But again, if you want to catch more, all you do is type in Talking Out Loud to wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us. I am your host, Sully. There are 2 rules on my show. You wear red and you be loud. We will catch you next time.
Talking Out Loud with Sully on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for a pivotal role at her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology identifies the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Monica did, and that's how she found Lamont, her new project superintendent.
The job is so perfect for me. I had a career breakthrough. I would have never found this job if it wasn't for ZipRecruiter.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Advance is helping you get your engine ready for the road this holiday season with the right oil, the right filter, at the right price every day. Get 5 quarts of full synthetic Mobil 1, Valvoline, Castrol Edge, or Pennzoil Platinum with the Mobil 1 oil filter for just $33.99. Plus, this holiday season, get a $25 NBA Store gift card and 2 times Speed Perks points instantly with the purchase of 5 quarts of Mobile One. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Strict attention to detail. That's what sets Kubota construction equipment apart. It's how we maximize performance, increase strength, and give you the dependability you demand. We engineer our equipment precisely at every level. It's what makes us a leader. Save up to $11,000 on construction equipment or get 0% APR financing for 60 months. Now through December 31st, 2020. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Fall is all about feel-good food and family. This fall, get a home-style meal on the go that everyone will love. Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for a 12-piece spicy bonus box for only $23.99. Home-style can happen anywhere with 12 mixed pieces of Lee's Spicy Classic Chicken, a large mashed potatoes and gravy, and a large coleslaw, all at a great price. Get a home-style meal made easy with our 12-piece spicy bonus box for only $23.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
The all-new Audible now gives you thousands of select audiobooks, podcasts, originals, and more, all included with membership. Try it for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch